welcome to the podium the first speaker for the night proceedings, Mr. Patrick Hanley. Give him a round of applause, please, as he comes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's certainly a pleasure for me to be here this evening, and I want to say good evening to you wherever you are. Those of you listening in the comfort of your homes, those of you listening to us via the internet, or wherever you may be this evening. As I am not yet a minister in this administration, my presentation will not only look back over the last 4 years, it will also look forward. February the 15th, 2014 marks the 4th anniversary since this administration has been elected into office. A little over 4 months later, in June of 2010, we were fortunate enough to welcome the elected representative for East End, Mr. Jerome Roberts. Our party campaigned in support of Mr. Roberts, so it was good to finally see him put his country first and cross over an effort to do everything he could to represent his people. It was not an easy road as we took over a very ill patient in the name of Lady Anguilla. There are those who would choose to argue that this administration has done nothing to improve the well-being of Lady Anguilla and those that depend on her for a living. They would claim that she is worse off today than she was in 2010. In order to refute this claim, I will use a scenario for you. A very simple scenario to help you understand where we were in 2010 and where we are today. In 2010, Lady Anguilla was extremely ill. Let us envisage Lady Anguilla as a strong, proud black woman who has become very ill, partially because of the current environment in which she found herself in, but definitely compounded by the mismanagement of her finances, which only made her worse. As many of you know, the Anguillan economy lost nearly $2 million in 2008. This loss rose astronomically to nearly $70 million in 2009. Now in comes February 2010, in comes AUM. Not only did we find out the severity of her illness, but only then did we understand the full gravity of what we were dealing with. Not only was she ill, she was chronically ill. Her finances squandered, not a penny left in the kitty to borrow. This is what this administration faced in 2010. Now you would expect that after enduring such a severe illness, it would take a significant amount of time to recover. And because the illness was so severe, there was bound to be an uncomfortable adjustment period. She could no longer support everyone that depended on her. So some of them fell away. Her businesses suffered. Her departments, her dependents suffered. This manifested itself in businesses closing, rising unemployment, budget deficits, and it was a difficult period. It was difficult but unavoidable. She was just not able to carry the burden any longer. The AUM administration had to nurse this sick patient back to health. We had to administer some harsh medicine. Yep. Some of it was difficult to swallow, as it was bitter indeed. But if Lady Anguilla was to get better, we knew she had to take it. And so the medicine was administered. Now today, because of our prudent and caring approach to dealing with Lady Anguilla, she is showing very positive signs of returning to her good old vibrant self. Businesses that were once closed are now open again. Businesses that were once unsure about their future are now reinvesting into assets to expand and modernize their operations. People that were once sitting at home are now back out to work. The lines at the banks that were once very short are now beginning to lengthen. That scenario is where we were, and this is where we are today. We cannot forget from whence we came, and while it is true that Lady Anguilla is not yet fully recovered, she is far better off today than she was in 2010. I know this is no consolation to those of you still struggling to find employment. I say to you, however, and the other speakers I'm sure will reinforce this point, the future for Anguilla is indeed bright. To fully realize the potential of our island nation, we must be strategic about the way forward. It is important that we adopt a more focused and well thought out approach to our nation's development. No longer can we afford knee-jerk responses. That approach only results in a scattergun approach towards development, where the community becomes fractured. Chase different opportunities. And I will turn to youth. Let us involve our youth in the decision-making process. Let us proactively engage them. We have to make them feel as if they have a role to play in our nation's development. Let us tap into their creativity, their innovativeness, their dynamism. Let us start the dialogue now. No longer should we be doing all of the talking. Let our youth have a say as well. Let us hear what their concerns are. Let us hear their ideas, and more importantly, let us make them feel a part of the decision-making process. We need to encourage our youth and stop pushing them aside because we feel we are more knowledgeable. Let us focus on creating opportunities for our youth. Studies show that youth have between 4 and 12 hours of free time every day. And you always hear the saying, devil find work for idle hands. It is important that we engage our youth, that we show them that they have a role to play, and we want to bring them to the table, to the decision-making table, to let them know that they too has a very important role to play. I turn to health. Many Anguillians have long been bemoaning our health services here in Anguilla. We have been bombarded by complaints from the public and medical practitioners alike. This administration campaigned on the issue, and is an issue which we have not adequately addressed. These are some of the tough decisions we must tackle in order to move our health services decisively forward. To that end, we have written to the Health Authority Board outlining our concerns to them. I have been reviewing at least 3 different reports written at different times and by different people since 2008. We have carefully studied these reports. The combined information contained and recommendations made in these reports supports us in finally making a decision to improve the provision of health care. You've heard a lot about National Health Fund over the last several years. The time has now come for us to implement this fund. Implementing this fund, if done properly, will accrue significant benefits to Anguillians. A National Health Fund, or National Health Insurance, whatever it is finally called, will be critical to improve the provision of healthcare services through a focused and proactive primary healthcare services. This is a critical step if we are to avoid more serious secondary cases, which could be more costly. We need to incentivize the Health Authority to raise its service standards. The current approach of providing an automatic subvention to the Health Authority is a practice that must continue if we are to properly and adequately achieve the desired standards. Implementing a properly constituted NHI will ensure that these monies are spent by the Anguillian people who will be getting that performance and value for money. The Health Authority should be in competition with private doctors for NHF funding. This would put the Health Authority on a more competitive path and a basis for private doctors, create incentives for efficient performance, and provide the NHF with better choice and leverage over quality, including prevention. And now turn to education. Education is the bedrock of our nation. Let us set high standards for our schools. Let us give them the resources they need to succeed. Let's recruit local people who share our common values. Let's pay them well. Let's give them our full support in exchange for more accountability. Education remains a major contributor to the social and economic capital. Our education system has been the bedrock of all our development. At the center of this are dedicated teachers, principals, administrators, officers and staff of the Ministry of Education, both past and present, whose contributions cannot be overstated. Our preference for scoring cheap political points instead of rolling up our sleeve and building a working consensus to tackle big problems. All of this while our people look away from disillusionment and frustration. As our economy changes, let us be the generation that ensures our nation's workers are sharing in our prosperity. Let's make it possible for hardworking Anguillians to save for retirement. President Obama said in 2007, in February, in the face of impossible odds, people who love their country can change it. So let us begin, Anguilla. Let us begin this hard work together. I say again, let us begin. Let us begin this hard work together. It has been some very difficult times over the last 4 years, as I've explained earlier. But once we are together, once we have committed ourselves to the cause, and once we understand that we have to put country above self, that it is not just about any one of us, it is about all of us. Whatever we do, we need to ensure that we have one thing in our minds: a rising tide floats all boats. It is not about what my country can do for me. It's about what I can do for my country. I want to reiterate here this evening that we have to put country above self. In an administration, team dynamics is extremely important. It is important to understand that as a government we have to work in teams. You have to understand team dynamics. As big persons, we won't always agree. There'll be times when we'll have disagreements. But we must say to ourselves, what's the bigger picture? Why am I really here? Who am I here to serve? Am I here to serve a few? Or was I elected to serve the majority? As an elected official, it is important to understand that whatever we do, we must do it for the greatest good, for the greatest amount of people. I think if we instill that in us, we can go a long way. It isn't about me, it isn't about any of the other ministers. It is about how can we use our collective experiences to build Anguilla, to build a capacity in Anguilla, to ensure that our young persons can find jobs, to ensure that the transition from leaving school into employment is as short as possible, because we want to ensure that our very dynamic youth, our very creative youth, is able to get a job, a meaningful job. It is the only way we can move this country forward, by giving our youth the opportunities that they so genuinely deserve. So in closing, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out here this evening. It's good to see you here. It is important, and I've always said it to my colleagues, it is very important to always communicate with your constituents. It is not good enough that we come to your homes knocking on your doors when it's election time just around the corner. Sometimes people just want to know that, hey, I acknowledge you. I know, I appreciate what you've done. How are you doing? You know, how are things going for you? It is important that we constantly engage our people, because 4 ministers don't have all the ideas. But we must create and foster an environment where we create we allow our constituents to give us feedback. And you'll be surprised at the kind of feedback you may get. You may think, yeah, this person, is just an ordinary person, but he may have this extraordinary idea that you've never heard about. So, any administration that I'm a part of, I'm certainly encouraging us to make ourselves more available to our constituents, to be true stewards of our constituencies and our constituents. Getting elected isn't just an exercise once every 5 years. Being a representative isn't something you do once every 5 years. You are elected to represent the people's interest. Elections are serious business. Running a government is serious business. No time for jokes. This is very serious business. So I want to end by saying again, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out. Those of you at home and abroad, thank you very much. Good evening.
Speakers, as we continue to share with you on our accomplishments from the Anguilla United Movement. Just over a year ago, the representative from East End, Mr. Jerome Roberts, assumed the responsibility for Minister of Home Affairs. We will now take some time out and hear from Mr. Roberts as he addresses you. Mr. Roberts.
Fellow Anguillians, good evening. Before I make my presentation this evening, I think it is only fitting that we pause for a moment and share in the sad moments of the Richards family and that of the Hodges as a result of the accident last evening. So I wish for us to take just a few moments as we remember them at this time as they grieve. To congratulate the former representative of District Number 2, the Honorable Osman Fleming, on this his birthday, another great celebration in his life. And we pray God that you continue to give him the strength and the health to see many, many more years. So even at this point, we celebrate with him on this his day. Fellow Anguillians, residents and visitors alike to our shores, I bid you a pleasant good evening and welcome. This evening, I first give thanks to God for affording me the opportunity to serve His people in this vineyard, the political vineyard. God has been good to me, and I know you can say the same, that despite the challenges, God has indeed been good to you. This evening I stand before you to give my political testimony on this, the 4th anniversary of this government's stewardship to you, the people of Anguilla. I wish to thank the residents of District Number 2 for having the confidence in me to represent them at this critical time in the political landscape of Anguilla's development. I wish to thank the members of the Anguilla Progressive Party for their support given to me, and I wish to thank the Anguilla United Movement family for welcoming me to work as partners to safeguard and protect this our beloved land. So tonight I stand here feeling quite comfortable knowing that over the past 4 years we have been able to weather the storms of the opposition, the Anguilla United Front, the former Governor Alistair Harrison, the former Minister Edison Baird for Road North, and the financial crisis. I feel good because we have not allowed these negative forces to wear us down, but in all things we sought the guidance from the Almighty, And today we stand stronger than ever, knowing that what we have done has been done in the best interests of our beloved island and its people. So as we begin this journey, I ask of you to listen attentively, inwardly digest, and at the end, accept or reject my presentation. It was February 2010 when I was duly elected under the banner of the Key to represent the residents of District Number 2. I thanked them and asked them for their full support as I started my political career. It was not months or weeks after I was elected that some of my supporters beckoned that I should join this administration and work for the interests of this island, while others for political and other interests beckoned that I should not, but that I should remain in opposition to be a noisy symbol. Democracy was at work, and after careful thought and consideration, I decided that it would neither do me nor the island justice to sit in opposition, but rather I can make more of a meaningful contribution being in government. Therefore, in June 2010, I gracefully crossed the floor like many others in the past have done in the interest of this country. I was reminded of the well-known quote by the late J.F. Kennedy, who stated, and I quote, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country," end of quote. This helped me greatly in knowing that my decision was about country rather than about self. So after working for 19 years and 4 months with the Anguilla Electricity Company, I did what was right and resigned to take up my new appointment with government effective August 1st, 2010. With all that said, I wish to draw to your attention to the business at hand this evening, a time of reflection for all of us. My friends, you know the story of our economic plight prior to all which I have just stated and shared with you. But I wish to refresh your memory, for it is important that we do so this evening. We were not presented with a budget for 2010, but by the big boys of the Anguilla United Front. We were not told about the poor financial state of our island. We were not told that the Foreign and Commerce Office wrote to the then Minister of Finance, the Honorable Victor Banks, stating how they were disappointed with the way in which the finances of the island were administered in a letter dated to him 18th January 2010. We were not told that this island was saddened with a deficit, or rather that we were in the reds in the region of some 70 million EC dollars. We were not told this by the big boys of the Anguilla United Front. We were not told that the big boys borrowed money from St. Lucia, to which you, the taxpayers, would have to repay. No, we were not told. Luckily, ladies and gentlemen, we heard about the borrowing from the Dominica account, straight from the horse's mouth, straight from the mouth of the Prime Minister of Dominica himself. So what did the actions of the big boys and the Anguilla United Front did to us fellow Anguillians? They plowed us into debt, serious debt that the people of Anguilla is still paying for. Before this government came into office, the government was borrowing money almost every month to pay civil servants. The overdraft had reached and exceeded the maximum. Unfortunately, when this government came into office, it was forced to immediately seek financing to make good on the monthly commitments in the said month February by running to Social Security to bail us out. I say thanks. Thanks to the Father of the nation for his foresight and vision in making Social Security a reality and meaningful investment for the people of Anguilla. Today it serves as a blessing for the people of this island. So when we thought that government could settle down and commence the work to which you, the people, elected the government to do, there was setback after setback with the preparation of a budget by whom? The friend of the enemy, Alistair Harrison. You would recall, we prepared 2 budgets between February and June of 2010, and again a third at the end of 2010 for the 2011 year. Despite all the challenges, we ended the year of 2010 with a deficit of around 10 million EC dollars. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that that was at 70 million when we took office. The government needs to be commended for this extreme and excellent job done within the space of those months. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2011, we had Alistair Harrison holding up progress by not assenting to the budget and asking for the Foreign Office to send consultants in to look at our budget. Do you recall these words, ladies and gentlemen, at the Rodney MacArthur Ray Auditorium? This budget stands.
That's right.
This indeed was a slap in the face of an enemy to Anguilla, Alistair Harrison. Through it all, God grant us the strength to plow along, and we ended 2011, fellow Anguillians, not with a deficit, but indeed with a surplus. Yes, a surplus. Your government ended with a surplus of over 16 million EC dollars. Budget after budget, Alistair Harrison kept back, trying to derail this administration. But the hand of God was at work, and we prevailed. Yes, you and I, this government, we all prevail because God knows what is indeed just, and He knows what is indeed fair. And we prevail as a people.
That's right.
The poor fiscal position to which we met this island in called for new approaches of doing business, and it called for recommitment on the part of all who administer the public's purse to be held more accountable for its functioning. Government was forced to introduce some tax measures as a means of keeping the island finances afloat. Government went all out encouraging foreign direct investment opportunities for people to come and invest on our shores. All this was done, ladies and gentlemen, as a means of helping to reduce the unemployment situation on this, our beloved island. Yes, that we did not, yes, that is what your government did. And we did it because we loved our people and wanted to see the best for each and every one of them. The interim stabilization levy was introduced, and it came about as a tax measure due to a broke treasury left by the big boys club of the then Anguilla United Front government. I want to repeat, the interim stabilization levy was introduced and came about as a tax measure due to the broke treasury left by the big boys club of the Anguilla United Front administration.
That's right.
Let me also mention at this time that the government also met a financial obligation of over 14 million EC dollars in unpaid invoices to local businesses and people of Anguilla by the then Anguilla United Front Big Boys Club. This had to be paid, fellow Anguillians. This had to be paid. The interim stabilization levy is therefore a measure that is bringing in much needed revenue that is helping us to take care of our expenses to which this island is called to bear on a daily basis. It was the former Minister of Finance, Mr. Victor Banks, who in one of his budget debates stated some years ago, we have to pay our way. You remember that?
Yes.
We have to pay our way.
Yes.
Well, indeed, his words came through Fella and Williams, for we arrived at that point when his administration was rejected by the people in 2010. Could you imagine if the Anguilla United Front government had been returned to office, what would have happened? What would have become of this, our beloved island? It would have been at the cost of many of our public servants going home because there would not have been any money to pay them. A broad treasure was left for you and I to rebuild. How else can we replenish it? If not requesting the taxpayers to make your contribution. Fellow and Williams, it sickens me when I would hear the opposition speaking out against the interim stabilization levy, to which them themselves are paid from. The retired and so-called retired politicians, such as the Honorable Victor Banks and others, are paid from the interim stabilization levy. And this levy is also helping government to pay its regular expenses of this island. How hypocritical can there be, Fella and Williams? How hypocritical? This evening we stand here to say to you, Fella and Williams, that despite the challenges, the heartaches and pains, we stand ready to continue to champion the cause for a better and brighter Anguilla for all. Much more could have happened despite the global recession if we had a governor who cared about you, the people of this, our beloved island. What we had for the past 3+ years, we had a governor who saw his role, in my opinion, as that of a politician and not what it really should have been. So what were we able to accomplish, Fellow and Williams? In 2010, we were able to control expenditure, keep our employment numbers and civil servants after request from the Foreign Office to cut staffing. We were able to produce a budget and end the year with a deficit of around $10 million in 2010, coming out of a deficit position left by the Big Boys Club of some 70 million EC dollars. This was remarkable, and your government did that. Your government went straight to work on restructuring the finances of this island. Show us some love, my people. Show us some love. Recognizing the challenges at Cap Juluca, your government went straight to the table in August to try and save Cap Juluca from closing its doors in 2010 and started renegotiating an MOU which in fact kept the doors of Cap Juluca open, all in the interest of what the property had to offer to Anguilla as a tourism facility, and more so what it meant to the livelihood of our people working there and those who would have benefited as outlets and suppliers. Show us some love for that, my people. We did it. In 2011, we continued to hold various discussions with potential investors as a means of drawing them to our shores. We signed several memorandums of understanding and left it up to the investors to get the ball rolling. You would recall the ongoing saga with flags. We discussed it at length with the view of trying to retrieve from whomever would have purchased flags successfully monies owed to our local businesses and individuals in the range of some 5 million EC dollars. You know what happened? The property was auctioned and the payment was received. Your government did that for you. We continue to work with the various stakeholders involved in resolving the Cap Juluca matter. These are long days and nights, but the legal challenges got the better of us. In 2012, we were able to sign a memorandum of understanding for Malihana property, which today, ladies and gentlemen, is coming along nicely. You would recall, ladies and gentlemen, the opposition saying that it was as a result of the interim stabilization levy that Malihana closed under this government. But I say to you, if the interim stabilization levy caused the closure of Malihana, then it is the big boys of the Anguilla United Front who caused that, because we had to put measures in place to keep this country afloat.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we were also able to sign a memorandum for the Zimmy project, which today is in full swing in Shoal Bay. We also had the privilege of signing off an MOU for Solar project in Lockrum, which now is on its way as well. We were able to sign off an MOU in Shoal Bay for Manor, which is also in progress. Your government did that. In 2013, ladies and gentlemen, we saw the back of Alistair Harrison and Edison Beard. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that it was Alistair Harrison and Edison Beard who voted to take bread out of the mouths of you, our people, by voting to close the dolphin discovery in Glen Point. Edison Beard, who says he loved this country and loved the people of this country, voted with his friend Alistair to close the dolphin fantasy, which would have affected ferry boat operators, taxi drivers, restaurant owners, and a number of other businesses on this island. However, my people, because you have men who stand for principle and are committed to you and your survival in these difficult times and challenging times, that ministers, your ministers, went straight to work. And today the dolphin discovery is still operational. I must say that the decision of Edison Beard and Alistair Harrison has cost us legal fees somewhere in the region of some $6,000 US for that decision which they made to close the dolphin fantasy. A project that was agreed to by the Big Boys Club to pave the Secretariat Road as a result of the airport project took place after much runaround, my people. A road which today is being used by many persons due to the interconnection with the main valley and Cannonball Road. Yes, we did that with the little resources that we had. We did it. We ensured it was done. After assuming the role of Minister with responsibility for education and having toured our educational facilities and places of learning, a strategic work plan was put in place to address the shortcomings of our facilities. Thus, it was agreed that the Adrian T. Hazel School, primary school, must be addressed with such urgency, with a view of restructuring of a new structure commencing this year, 2014. So your minister and ministry is at work. I am not sure what happened to the previous minister in terms of looking out for the interests of the people of Road North and Road South. We were anxiously seeking some movement on getting our Anguilla Community College going, and just on the eve of the end of 2013, during the presentation of the budget address, the green light was given. Long days and long hours, but we are at the point in the advancement and delivery of quality education and soon to be a new home for the Anguilla Community College. Your government is at work, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time since this administration has been in power, has our budget been assented to by the end of a year. Let us show some love for Her Excellency the Governor, Christina Scott. In 2014, we are now in discussions with various stakeholders, both locally and internationally, regarding our fishing waters, with a view of encouraging our people to take advantage of the 200 nautical miles of open waters that we have to our disposal. As Minister, I am pleased to report that the extension of the CITES to Anguilla is a great thing, and we are now counted in doing what is just and fair as it relates to the illegal trade of endangered species. This came on the heels of this meeting and work which has been ongoing by the former Minister, Honorable Walcott Richardson. But today I am happy to see it come to fruition. Your government is at work. In a quest to put in place the requisite tools to aid the advancement of higher education, as Minister, I wish to put on record my fullest support for the passage of this bill last week in the House of Assembly. This will now assist our places of higher education and will bring a greater relief to the many students who would come to our shores through the means of educational tourism. Long overdue, but I am happy that we have settled this once and for all for the future development of our island. Your minister, your government did it. For the first time in the history of our Carnival celebration preparedness, did we hear the program agenda and lineup given by a minister on the first day of a new year. This happened under this minister in 2014. I wish in closing to say that through the challenges and the noises, we have come. Through the challenges and the noises, we have delivered. Through the challenges and the noises, you have remained faithful with us. And we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Anguilla today is indeed in a better position, and with a governor and government who are working in a much more harmonious manner, this island can and will only serve to benefit from that which is good. District number 2, I thank you for your support, your love and understanding. And I will seek to work in your best interests as we plow along. God bless us as a people and as a nation. Fellow Anguillians, show your government the love. I thank you.
Good night, Anguilla.
Got two from the start.
I wish to apologize for the weather. And I apologize for the weather because it seems as if anything that happens in Anguilla, I am blamed for. So with that said, I would like to again wish you a good night, ladies and gentlemen of Anguilla. Once again, it is good to be here on this occasion. In 2008, Anguilla started to slide, and by mid-2009, we had fallen off the fiscal cliff. In late 2009 into 2010, Anguilla continued its steep economic decline following what was considered the largest economic expansion in Anguilla's history. In the latter part of 2004, just before elections, Anguilla took off with the start of the Flag Luxury Project. That project was facilitated by a deregulation global banking system that allowed for easy, cheap money to be had, especially in the development of the real estate industry. This same system gave rise to a number of persons involved in what is now known as Ponzi schemes. Those Ponzi men included many, from Barney Madoff
to Alan Stanford and everyone in between. Even banking institutions lend freely and easily. By 2008, it had all come crashing down. Banks suffered severe strain, with many of them collapsing, and in some instances, in need of bailouts. Businesses saw significant fall-off in receipts, and individuals who were just a year prior were spending like there was no tomorrow, was finding it difficult just to get by. Governments, including those in the Caribbean, chose to bury their heads in the sand. The Anguillan government at the time was no different. They chose to misinform the people and carry on business as usual, while our institutions remain on the brink of collapse. Tourism arrivals in Anguilla plummeted from a high of 77,652 in 2007 to 57,809 in 2009. While public service and public servants were laid off around the globe, the USVI, 800 public servants were laid off and salaries were reduced. In Puerto Rico, over 15,000 civil servants were let go. In the Turks and Caicos Islands, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and every state in the great USA, public servants were losing their jobs. In Anguilla, the British government was insisting, with the support of the former governor, William Alistair Harrison, that up to 300 civil servants should be followed.
Yes, he did.
Thank God, Anguilla. Thank God for the steady hand and the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Hubert Hughes, for not giving in, and in the end, securing every single job in the Anguilla public service. One must not forget, layoffs in Anguilla had begun before this administration took office. And it was through the dogged determination of the Chief Minister, supported by most of his political colleagues, and the permanent secretaries, Dr. Aidan Harrigan and Ms. Kathleen Rogers, that the battle to retain the Anguilla public service was won. We are all aware of what is going on in Barbados today, ladies and gentlemen. We have 300,000 public service servants are being given pink slips.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, even though the decline in 2008 was evident, the fiscal position of the country was compounded by producing a budget called the 3Bs. No, not Bunton, Banks and Beard. It was bobbed by the former Chief Minister, the Honorable Osmond Fleming, as the big boys budget. We all remember that House of Assembly, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
This budget envisioned a spend of over $300 million, only to realize a collection of just over $155 million. The government was spending as if there was no tomorrow, and if it was still living in the glory years of 2005 to 2007. And we ended up with the largest budgetary deficit in Anguilla's history, with absolutely zero reserves. Don't matter what the former Minister of Finance says. He seems to be very stingy and economical with the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of Anguilla at the time knew nothing of it. We knew nothing because the Minister of Finance at the time and his colleagues chose not to bring this information to the public. Neither did they produce a budget for 2010. This was the order of government's business during that time, ladies and gentlemen. Government was ran as if they were holding national security secrets for the NSA or the CIA. Today, even the Executive Council minutes are being published for the world to see. So clean, is this administration. Fellow Anguillians, your Anguilla United movement came to office in February of 2010. Today marks 4 years to the day that we first entered the doors of the Secretariat. And today, we again report to you. There is no doubt, we as a people have suffered through a tough economic stretch. As you know, in a short time, we, like the other political entities in Anguilla, will unveil our cadre of candidates for the upcoming elections, our great cadre of candidates for the coming elections. And ladies and gentlemen, I dare say that this team, the Anguilla United Movement team, will have the best cadre of political candidates that we have ever seen in Anguilla's political history. Ladies and gentlemen, on the eastern side, we are anchored by a doctor. On the western side, we are anchored by a lawyer. And in between, we are anchored by the Honorable Jerome Roberts, the Honorable Evan Gum, Mr. Patrick Hanley, and yours truly. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be your dream team of political development, economic investment, roots of integrity, trunks of stability, voices of integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to Jimmy fix all sorts of political parties around this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the last election, we threw a dove into the tree, ladies and gentlemen. And somehow, some way, that nest was rattled. And we found the remnants of that rattle shredded all over this country, ladies and gentlemen. And on March the 2nd, that dove will unveil a party?
Yes!
A party?
Them say so. We're waiting for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, it will be an interesting day in Anguilla. A very interesting day in Anguilla, ladies and gentlemen. But ladies and gentlemen, we will be reporting to you because each and every one of you, whether you support us or not, are our bosses. And we will be reapplying for our job. And you will tell us whether or not our report card is good, given where we were as a country and where we are today. Ladies and gentlemen, I once heard a song and it keeps ringing in my mind. And it rang in my mind up until February 15, 2010. And the song was sung by Desiree, and it said, how did we get from that to this? Ladies and gentlemen, there's always a cause and an effect. A cause and an effect. And over the next few months, into the next year, we will give you the causes, the effect, and how we are pulling this country out of the precipice, out of the ditch, the deep dark abyss that it found itself in 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, we will articulate to you our challenges, our accomplishments, our victories, of our failures over the past 4 years, and our plans for the next 5 to 6 years. Fellow Anguillians, while it continues to be a tough period, we are happy to report to you, as the Honorable Robert said, that there has been a significant number of investors coming to our shows, and a number of them have started their projects. The times have obviously changed to when the country as a whole grew significantly with just 2 projects that actually started in 2004 and 2005, namely Flag and Core, commonly known as Viceroy. We now know that only Viceroy made it to completion after going $200 million over budget. Investors are much more fiscally conservative, as many of them are either spending their own cash or borrowing from hedge funds and pension funds. It is no secret that the former administration signed no less than 10 memorandums of agreement. To refresh our memory, ladies and gentlemen, they were 1, the Flag Luxury Project, approved in July 2002. This project was supposed to deliver 750 rooms over a 12-year period. 2. Core Project, Barnes Bay Project, now known as Viceroy, approved in September of 2004. We all know that this project made it to the end and is now called the Viceroy Resort. 3. Again, Core Group, Savannah Sile Bay, approved in January of 2006, envisioning 825 rooms over a 15-year period. 4. Ultima Expansion Project. Ironically, ladies and gentlemen, the Ultima project first came to Angola under the leadership of the Honorable Hubert Hughes. So too did the Cuisinart and many others. A memorandum of agreement was signed in January of 2006 for expansion of the Ultima project to 370 rooms over a period of 10 years. 5. Paradise Holdings, Frangipane expansion, which was approved in October of 2006, with the additional 75 rooms to be opened in 2009. 6. Again, Core, Meads Bay, which was approved in December of 2006 for another 350 rooms. This project was supposed to be built on a 6-acre plot of land, and these rooms would be built over a period of 10 years, beginning in 2009. 7. The Gomes Family Rendezvous Bay Development and Expansion Project, which was approved in May of 2007 for 450 rooms. 8. Lake and Kentish Family Kong Bay Development Project, approved in May of 2007 for 730 rooms built over a period of 12 years, commencing September 2007. 9. Harrigan Family Madeiraman Redevelopment Project, which envisioned 105 rooms. And 10. Adam Aaron's Catchaluca Redevelopment Project, which was approved in 2008 in the middle of the most contentious and expensive legal battle in Angola's history. This project was approved then and envisioned to have 375 rooms built over a period of 7 years for a grand total of 4,380 hotel rooms, ladies and gentlemen. These are matters of fact, and I challenge anybody to challenge these facts. To add insult to injury, ladies and gentlemen, and this is how deceptive your farm administration was. A mere 2 weeks prior to the election, the farmer government had a grand groundbreaking ceremony for a quote-unquote Etesian resort in Rendezvous Bay between Cuisinart and the Angola Great House. And coming to office, we found out that it was an election ploy, and indeed there was no such project. This is inception, ladies and gentlemen. We will remind you over the next few months of all the tricks, games, gimmicks involved in the Big Boys Club. Ladies and gentlemen, I have listed 11 projects that a farmer administration boasted of. How many of them happened in the 10 years they were in office? 10 years, ladies and gentlemen. How many of them? 1. Lead it. Lit to the end. It is therefore strange to me when I hear the criticisms regarding the memorandums of understanding that this administration has signed. If one were to compare, we would see significant improvements in these documents, completed with expiration dates, and almost all of the memorandum of understandings that the Chief Minister has signed has placed shovels in the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, this government signed memorandums of understandings with the following, and I list them out for you to know. 1. Starwood Capital, Xavier Viceroy, September 2010. This saved that hotel from collapse, and over the next few months, we will speak a lot more about that. That's right. 2. Soler in Lacram, registered in Banks Professional Services. We'll talk a lot about all the directorships of Banks Professional Services and how he got them, including him being a director of Fidelity Insurance, where one of the principals is indicted in the courts in Miami for insurance fraud. This is a matter of fact, and this is a matter of fact, and I'm saying it publicly, so you can sue if he has the gumption to sue the facts. Solia in Lakram, which was signed by the Chief Minister in February of 2011. That project has started and has brought home one of the hosts of the Mayor Show from the wilderness in the United States to Anguilla to be the project manager of that project, ladies and gentlemen. Two great local contractors, Ram and UR Richardson, are doing that project. 3, Zemi Beach Resort in Shoal Bay, 134 rooms signed March of 2011. That project is started and under the leadership of Van Van Brooks of Marlens, with the contractor being Brian Construction, and landscape by the capable Desmond Paul's Unique Landscaping. 4, Manor in Shoal Bay, approved December 2012, another 30 rooms. The project has now submitted its material listing for duty-free concessions for construction, and they have informed us that they will be hiring 3 local contractors to do this project, starting hopefully in the first part of this year. 5, AJ Capital Partners, Maljohanna Redevelopment Project, approved in February of 2013. This too has started under the management of local project manager Tandem Limited, partly owned by Frederick Daddy Harrigan of Daddy's Construction. Local contractors such as Sonny Rowan and DLG are tasked with the redevelopment there, with an initial 55 rooms and a further future additional development of some 45 rooms. 6, the Reef Hotel on the Old Gulf Coast. That project too has started. Contractors include Harold Rowan, Dennis Construction. And I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, because you hear them up and down, only the orange trucks running, only brain getting all the looks. I want to let the people know the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Frangipani Redevelopment Project, of which we recently granted duty-free concessions, and that is developing as the people on the western side of the island can see. The project manager being Van Van Brooks. And I want to say something about Van Van, very nice guy. And he was on the podium for the Anguilla United Front last election. Wow. And it shows me that we have not interfered in who these projects hired, because the Anguilla United Front people are benefiting significantly from this administration. All you have to do is travel to the southern side of this country and see who's doing the Carito landfill, and you'll see how much Anguilla United Front is benefiting from this country.
Big time!
This government, fair play. We don't interfere with developers in their business. We put the projects on the ground, and we don't care whether you support the Anguilla United Movement, the Anguilla, what is the Dove party's name? Whatever that is. The Dove. We don't care whether you support the Anguilla United Movement. We don't care whether you support Pam, the next Chief Minister of Anguilla. She probably trying to pull a Sarah Rescott Williams. But let it be known, if God so see it fit, that this administration only get 3 seats, the United Front get 3 seats, and Pam Reps will win a seat, they can go with the government, because we will not be working with people like Pam. We want the place on the record too.
I like the one.
If by some miracle, between now and election day, Patrick Hanley broke his 2 legs, broke his arms, his tongue is amputated, and his eyes are dug out, and he happened to lose that seat due to that, we will not be working with Edison Beard, because he refused to work with us. But ladies and gentlemen, thank God Almighty The days of Edison Beard using the podium as Deaf Comedy Jam are over. And in this coming election, he will lose hands down. We will ensure that the people of Road North are properly represented, ladies and gentlemen. Properly represented by a sound, rational thinker, a serious man like Patrick, the Sheriff Hanley. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce tonight that a new sheriff is in town. No more jokes on this podium. This is a serious podium. And we will bring serious issues to the people of Anguilla. And not none of that stupidness that comes from the political platform, from someone who has a master's degree in political science. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see to it that you have proper representation in the Anguilla House of Assembly.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to carry on because the Frangipane expansion is being done by Keekle Hughes of Neat Pools and Construction. 9. And I'm going on the list, you know. As you can see, they have started on mobilizing, actually in the process of going to the House of Assembly. We are taking these to the House of Assembly. No secrets in this government, ladies and gentlemen. 9. RAFCO Best Western, which is a local initiative, a local project done by the Harrigan family, led by the capable, one of the best chairman of the Carnival Committee we have ever had. Mr. Vanya Harrigan.
Yes.
And I want to say this about Vanya. Vanya has suffered a lot of ridicule,
Yes, he
a lot of hard words. I follow him on
right.
Facebook.
That's right.
And he has stood up.
Yes.
And he has stand up for principles, stand up for right, and stand up for justice. And I want to commend you, Vanya, for your hard work and your diligence.
Yes.
This will bring a number of rooms to the valley. And I'm happy to report that they have already submitted their plans and their construction concession listing. So all of those who saying that project will not stand, tune in, and you will see. 10, in Meads Bay, a young award-winning architect, Mr. Ian Sugar George Edwards, has acquired a 6-acre block of land there and is well on the way to developing a wonderful tourism product comprising of 60 hotel rooms, ladies and gentlemen. Outline plan approval has already been granted. 11, ladies and gentlemen, in August of 2013, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Ciblu that will see an expansion of that project there. And while it is the former government acts and received a number of handcuffs from the developers of this project,
Go ahead.
the Honorable Evan Gomes, a real representative, a people's representative, asked for a fire truck. And I'm happy to report that this truck will be arriving on the island shortly. Give it up for the Honorable Evan Gomes. And I want to say this about Mr. Gomes. The first real representative for Valley South was the Honorable Albina Lake Hodge. May she rest in peace. And ladies and gentlemen, the next good representative for Valley South has been the Honorable Evan Gomes. For almost 30 years, we experimented with Victor Banks's deficit financing and reckless fiscal principles.
Yes.
We experimented for 30 years, Madam Speaker, and after a 30-year clinical study, we have ascertained that his principles of financing and economics have been a tremendous and colossal failure. And we will not allow Mr. Banks to ever stand in the House of Assembly as an elected representative for the people of Anguilla. For 30 long years, ladies and gentlemen, the former Minister of Finance promised the people of Rahila basketball court. For 30 long years, Election after election, promise after promise. In less than 4 years, the Honorable Evan Gomes have delivered, and that basketball court that he promised is in construction.
Right now. Right now, Rick.
There's a lot to speak about as it relates to the replacement. And I must give God the thanks and the people of Valley South all the glory for ensuring that Mr. Banks was sent home on short-term retirement, because he retired, you know. He declared that he had retired. He got his gratuity, almost $500,000. He gets his pension, huge pension every month, partly paid by the interim stabilization levy that he boasts about. Almost $10,000 a month. And after he started getting that money, he unretired and stood for the leadership of the Anguilla United Front. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. It is not as united as you think. They are not as united as you think. We all know the hullabaloo they had on in Road North. Paul Delsick, nice guy.
Yes.
I love him. Comes from a good family. I love Delsick a lot. Nice guy. Just missed something, bad company.
That's right. He was.
And you know, they tried to throw him overboard for Edison Beard and Devon Carty. And all sorts of people that tried to throw Delsick overboard for. You know, and I feel for him. And over this election cycle, I cannot say anything bad about Delsick because he's getting enough blows in his party for us to rub it in.
Come over, man. Come over.
So they're not as united as they think. And when you go down to West End, Cardigan, Connor, he's running for the United Front, but if you ask him if he's running with Victor Banks, he's asking, who's that? Who's that? 20 years removed from Sussex, England. 20 years removed from England. And up to now, he cannot adopt our local train. But he's nice and friendly with Alicia Harrison. We will talk about that over the next few months, ladies and gentlemen. I want to also say 12. This is how much work this administration has done in 4 years. 12. The Altima project that the Chief Minister, Hubert Hughes, first brought to this country is now in the final stages of a new owner. And this new owner will bring value to that project with an injection of capital to upgrade and expand the Altima project, and we are pleased about that. Fellow Anguillians, we are truly on the move. The investment confidence in this government is at an all-time high. Not only did we sign these understandings, but they have started and will expand the employment opportunities for our people. We must not forget the investment by Mr. Reynolds, who through the cooperation and collaboration of this administration built the Annie Art School, which is developing the artistic talent on this island. That school was built and completed by the capable Glenford Power Hughes. I do know that you're hearing the Hughes name a lot tonight, but it is not due to the name. It's not our fault. It was a name that was conferred on us by our former slave owners. But it's due to ability. For example, we are all pleased and proud of the accomplishments of Shara Proctor, Chesney Hughes, and Zarnell Hughes. We look to them to inspire a generation and inspire a country. We are proud of their accomplishments, and we know the best is yet to come. Fellow Anguillians, we are not yet done. We are working hard on the restoration of Kajaluka, and you will hear some great news very soon regarding that project. After over 2 years of conflict and deprivation, the best days of Kajaluka seem to be ahead. I will not say any more on that, and let actions speak louder than my words. It is no secret that Anguilla is more visible today than at any time in the past. More people around the world know about Anguilla than at any time in our history. This was our desire. This was our plan. And this is why our tourism numbers are on the rise once again. Our support for the Festival del Mar and new initiatives such as the Anguilla Choice Awards, the Anguilla Music Awards, and the Anguilla Fashion Expo that will be hosted here this very month is unwavering. Our support for the arts, including financial support to the Moon Splash and the British Dependency United States tours, cannot be understated. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly on the move. And we will continue to elevate our people and work with the arts and artists as much as possible and fulfill their potential. There's no doubt our local videographers, makeup artists and the like benefited from the production of videos and television initiatives that we embarked upon. A number of them, you can see them, just Google them. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are working diligently on our tourism product development programs that includes a Marine Heritage Center and the Big Spring Enhancement Program in Island Harbor, the Archaeological and Amerindian Heritage Center in Shoal Bay, the East End Pond Enhancement and the Anguilla Craft and Recycling Center in West End. There is no doubt that these initiatives will enhance our product and elevate our standing in the highly competitive hospitality market. I must thank Ms. Jasmine Gowrie, been working hard for all the work that she continues to do for Anguilla. I must also thank Vanya for coming in and volunteering of his time, free of cost, to the people of Anguilla. We have lots of those people, ladies and gentlemen, including Josephine Gomes Connor. No matter what they say about her, for 4 years, she has worked on behalf of the people of Anguilla for not one red cent. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 4 more exciting foreign investment projects that are on the horizon. From all accounts, they may very well begin this year. They will be in Savannah Bay, Cinnamon Reef, Shoal Bay, and Limestone Bay. With that said, we must not forget our local investors. Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much to speak about. One night is not enough to speak about all that is happening and on the verge of happening and has happened. As we all know, the former administration decided to extend the airport in Wall Lake. To my mind, this was an error in judgment, as there were already studies done for the development of an airport that could accommodate transatlantic commercial flights. Mistake aside, we must now do all we can to ensure that that is a viable project, and that is why I've gone out and encouraged several airlines to fly to our destination. They include Cape Air, Tradewind Aviation, and soon Winair. We are not yet done, as we are in discussions with other operators while we continue to support the local air carriers such as Trans-Anguilla, Air Anguilla, and Rainbow Express. The development of the Anguilla St. Martin dock, we're going to talk a lot about that over the next few months, a lot about that. And the introduction of the dolphin discovery, along with our foray into the cruise industry, have brought opportunities to our shows. The staff at Safe Cargo is doing a tremendous job with seaborne cruises that comes every week to Anguilla. And we, this administration, was able to attract them to our shows. Ladies and gentlemen, as I've said before, there's much to speak about. And we will have this conversation over the next few months. I am confident that we are on the rise again. Together, Anguilla, east, west, north, and south, we will lift this island and its people up.
That's right.
It is our job to ensure that Anguilla is a better place tomorrow than it was yesterday, and we are well on our way. Our journey has not been easy. It has been played out local and international scenes with that vagabond, William Alistair Harrison. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not expect it to be easy, but we rose to the challenge. Our journey started in the pits of the recession, but bit by bit, we are clearing our way out, and we are forecasting great things on the horizon. Anguilla is truly on the rise again, and with the reputation that this administration had garnered as a clean, above-board administration with no hands below the table, and with the reputation of the island as a culinary destination of the Caribbean, with some of the world's best beaches, the world's best beach bars and villas, and indeed, the world's best people, we will rise again. Before I close, I want you all to pray for the Honorable Walcott Richardson, who hails in Puerto Rico. It has been a difficult time for Mr. Richardson and his family, and we will continue to pray for him. Thank God he's still on this side of the divide. I want to thank you, and may God continue to bestow his blessings upon this beautiful nation. Tranquility wrapped in blue. Good night.
Oh, yes.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
There you go, Gasset.
My people of District 4,
That's right. Right here.
to all fellow Anguillians,
Right
near
here.
and far, pleasant good night. It has been a long haul. For 4 years, we have been in a battle with those who are supposed to be helping us. Firstly, they and their cronies gave us 2 months for this government to last. Then they gave us 6 months before we were kicked out. And then as we began to perform, they extended it to 2 years. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to report that just 3 days ago, the 15th of February, 2014, we have clocked 4 years effectively functioning on the job. And in spite of the constant barrage thrown against us, along with the difficulties on the world's financial market, the unfortunate illness of our honorable member from West End, and the demands that the people of Anguilla has placed on us, requiring that we discharge one of our beloved colleagues. We are still able to stand tall, stay together, and keep our plans in motion. And for these things, we say thanks to God Almighty.
Yes.
This AUM government remains on the move.
That's right.
Tonight, I deem it an honor to be able to stand and present a report of my 4 years of stewardship as your humble servant and as a clean and honorable member of the Anguilla United Movement.
Yes.
gentlemen, I would appreciate if you would follow me closely as I share with you a little about our roads, our electricity and energy, our water, our air and seaports, and our fire department. Firstly, I would like to address our road program. Before coming to office, I noticed that one government after another, year after year, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars excavating and hauling marl from corridor to dot and redot year after year to maintain the limestone Bay Road. Upon coming to office, I made the decision that we cannot be throwing money down the drain, because every time there's a hurricane or even just a regular rainfall, the water would gut out and destroy the entire road. But I want to bring to your attention that with your humble servant's guidance, the strategy was changed from maintenance of a road to a permanent fixture. I consulted with my colleagues and decided that that road should be paved. Right after that, we got hurricane relief funds and we constructed that road with retaining walls and concreted approximately 1,200 feet of surface road. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to inform to you that that phase is completed and is no longer a burden on this country. The next road I want to mention is the partial raising of the Queen Elizabeth Highway. Although it was not constructed to my taste, our government sought to have the road raised so that less water would settle at the bottom of the road when rain falls. We spend a lot of money there, but the fact of the matter is that this road was raised, reinforced, culvert drainage put in place, and all driving lanes were concreted with sidewalks. The next road I want to mention is the Secretariat Road, which was nothing short of an uphill battle.
Yeah.
With several legal pitfalls and a lot of running around from the people who were supposed to help us. Again, I wanted that road to be a little wider, and it could have been wider because all of the land in the vicinity is owned by the government. But again, we have to overcome the strategies and stalling tactics that were put in place to prevent us from getting that road done. I want to report to you that the road is all concreted with drainage facilities, and the taxpayers are enjoying their money's worth. And that too was coordinated and built by the efforts of your government. Now I want to come to the Valley Main Road. Ladies and gentlemen, we have plans afoot for the Valley Main Road that should be tendered the next few weeks. This road was originally designed for 4 lanes that would have eaten up the present road space. It would have demanded 2 more lanes and bring a burden on the Treasury in excess of $27 million. This road is now redesigned to accommodate present and future needs at a, comparatively speaking, pennies on the dollar. And you can see we have to reevaluate everything in order to give you your money's worth. As we speak, we are working on the maintaining of dirt roads
and the public works maintenance crew is on the road patching potholes and are making every effort to make the road flow smoother and safer for the people of Anguilla. Ladies and gentlemen, a part of my responsibility is to help you save money and keep money in your pockets. So now I want to address our electricity and energy. Before 2010 campaign, I kept looking at my electricity bill. I saw the cost of electricity and the unfair attached fuel surcharge. And I wonder how you felt about it. My people, take another mental look at what I'm talking about. Imagine your electricity bill is, say, $100, and you have to pay, on top of that, an additional $100 in the name of fuel surcharge, just to pay Anglex investors. Question, do you think that is fair? I see it morally wrong. I see it as an unjust, and I see it as robbing money out of your pocket to accommodate someone else.
That's right.
Our electricity should never be privatized. It should have never been privatized. It should have been our natural inheritance.
We fought for it, Evan.
Take it back.
And so before the 2010 campaign, I made a personal commitment to do all in my power to reduce the high electricity costs to you and to remove all those unfair attachments. It has been and still is an ongoing battle. And I want to be clear, this battle is not between the people who have elected to serve you, but between us and the administrative civil servants, for whom we have to go out of our way, bend over backwards, to beg and borrow money to pay their salaries every month, and they are not on board with us. My people, in spite of all these roadblocks and stalling tactics, we are well on our way to have partnered with the Global Green Initiative, GGI, with the Waste to Energy project. That means converting garbage to energy. I want to assure you that the surveys are just about completed and the environmental impact study is well on its way, so that we can bring you this additional source of energy that will reduce the high cost of electricity and put some money back into your pocket. So you see, we have committed ourselves to helping you and not to stick it to you like the others did before. I want to tell you a quick story. Before we got elected in 2009, one of our fire trucks overturned and was totally destroyed. The Republic of Trinidad and Tobago was generous enough to loan us a fire truck, and for this, we are truly thankful. This fire truck has served us well, and we were made a little better and felt a cushion of comfort as we now had a much needed fire tender. The government of Anguilla has since purchased an exceptionally good fire truck through the assistance of our fire consultant, the UK government, and Her Excellency, Miss Christina Scott. I know I'm getting a tongue twisted here. I'm happy to report to you that this fire truck is now in operation. Ladies and gentlemen, this fire truck issue could have been resolved the year before last election. But the AUM administration squandered a golden opportunity to get us a first-class fire truck or anything else that could have been obtained for Anguilla from the Sea Blue investors. But instead, they chose to ask Sea Blue investors for shackles to shackle our people. Imagine that.
Yes, sir.
The AUM administration has again been offered this opportunity, and I'm proud to report to you that I, along with the AUM colleagues, have seized the available opportunity, and Sea Blue investors have provided us with a second fire truck, which is underway and scheduled to arrive in Anguilla February 22nd, next few days. So my story point is that we have moved forward to get 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
And we have increased our fleet by 2, which can now focus on separate fires if the need arises. Moving on, I would like to express a little about a current water situation. And I'd like to thank the Board of Directors for the Water Corporation for sticking it out through the tough times and challenges that they've been having. Water supply and management of water have been a serious concern of mine. When we came to office in 2010, we discovered that the people of Anguilla were saddled with high water bills. We took a decision to write off all the outstanding household water bills that were incurred when the water was originally operated by the government. And furthermore, we are now discussing within government circles another method where we could afford subsistence, even if it means to writing off your current household water bills again. This would give tremendous relief, and I'm working hard for you. We are also actively supplementing our water supply by activating and pumping water from the old valley well into the supply system. And I'm pleased to report that the same old abandoned valley well is now being refurbished and as a planned historical museum project. And I just want to say thanks to those who are working on that project, free of cost. Won't call any names just as yet. Just want to say a special thanks to them and I appreciate their hard work. As you may know, we have an ongoing litigation between General Electric, who was the former supplier of water, and the government of Anguilla, and therefore, I'm able to speak to this matter. Which brings me to my next item on my agenda, which is our airport and seaports. There are no secrets in Anguilla, and you know as well as I do that our airport and seaports have presented a multiplicity of challenges. We have been struggling with these challenges from day one, and we are just trying our best to stay afloat. We all know that the world has changed since September 11, and Little Anguilla, no less than any other island or country on the planet, must abide by international rules, regulations, and standards.
Right.
And as it relates to security, and especially so, since the previous administration forced us under Port Authority, and the consequences that these arrangements of this authority is too costly to run. Ladies and gentlemen, this Port Authority that we are talking about has become a monster that is so costly to maintain. Government has given up 75% of the tax collected just to subsidize or run the Anguilla Air and Seaports Authority. Factually speaking, it is not a feasible entity. But we are fighting, we are struggling, we are working hard to keep them running in spite of all the financial hardships. Even the board of directors of the Port Authority has had many frustrating days, and I want to extend appreciation for the patience, tolerance, dedication, and hard work for keeping the authority on a steady course. In 2010, when Anguilla United Movement entered office, I saw the importance of honoring a native son of the soil, our Clayton Jeremy Lloyd, our first commercial pilot, and put in his honor as a memorial to his achievements by renaming the Wallbleck Airport to the Clayton J. Lloyd International Airport. This is the first and the only pilot who is so honored in the Caribbean, and for that we should be proud of our own Captain Lloyd for his accomplishments and what he did to put Anguilla on the world aviation map. Even though he's gone, he will always be remembered for his legendary contributions. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, all these things I've spoken about before fall under my ministry. I gave you a bird's eye view of the difficulties we've been encountering with the people who are supposed to be helping, and that is just fights from within. I have not spoken at all about the collaboration or conspiracy of any sort with our opponents. As my mother would say, show some respect, son, show some respect. And all of these things I have done because you sent me to work. I'm looking forward to us teaming up again where more productive things can continue to be done for you and our Anguilla. At the moment, we are working on some projects in which confidentiality is required. And within the next few months, I will step forward and report to you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your confidence in electing me as your representative, and your loyalty and your support.
You'll be right back there.
I remain your true humble servant. I remain on the move, roots of integrity, trunk of stability, and branches of prosperity. Good night. God bless you. God bless District 4, and may God bless Anguilla.
Good night, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The last night of the 2010 general election campaign, we were on this sacred spot. And I said to the crowd of people who were there that tomorrow you can compliment yourselves for having voted for a political movement without money. This is a mark of maturity and civilization for the people of Angola, that so much money was being given by the major developers to the incumbent party to win the last election. And you voted for people who had no money. The reason why I say you need to be complimented is that when I think of the many hundreds of thousands and probably millions of black and brown people around the world who died fighting for that vote, and today sacrilege has taken place
then there are some people, especially in the extreme east of the island, believe that they can pay people for the vote. In Sweden, the government has a policy of arresting men who go to bed with prostitutes. They don't arrest the prostitute, they arrest the men. Because if there were no men paying, there would be no prostitution. I think that for people to be cajoled in voting on the basis of a dollar, that's a sin. Tonight we are back here on this sacred spot with this sacred man, Evan Gums. And I tell you, he has to be a Christian to endure what he has endured. Going into an office with a nest of slaves, a nest of wicked civil servants who go to the English Rose to talk politics to the front.
Every day. Every day.
In the Executive Council last Thursday, I said to his permanent secretary, in the presence of the governor, I said, you need to stop going to the English Rose, because politicians who do not work for the government are dishonest. Any politician, any civil servant who refuses to work in the best interest of the country is robbing the country.
That's right.
Because he's taking money on false pretenses. Some of our top civil servants rob the country. And that's why I go to the House of Assembly and I say that our administration is corrupt from the top down. We have serious corruption within the administration, and that has to be rooted out. Because the people should get value for the money they pay to maintain the civil service. Ladies and gentlemen, life will be much easier for you if your professional civil servants were working. If they were working in the best interest of the country, life will be much easier for you. Life will be much easier for us, who have to struggle to get things done, and your civil servants sabotaging the work that we are doing. I want you to understand that this island went through a revolution, and this island was lost in the last 10 years. There were no young men shooting each other before the elections of 2000 and before the elections of March 2000. We come back in office after 10 years, and our young men are killing each other. I grieve when I see young men in wheelchairs because of a bullet from another young man. It hurts me, and I know how much it hurts the mothers and fathers who see their young sons crippled because of a bullet. I said to the young people in Brent Point just a week ago, I want you in Brent Point to set an example and make sure that you don't retaliate. There must be no avenged killing. You don't retaliate because one of you were gunned down. I want you to drop the guns. This you need to study. Why Angola has become so violent in the last 10 years?
You think it is right for politicians to wear the colors of a gang? But one of the politicians were wearing red in the carnival before the last election, showing the color of the gang. So the struggle that we are conducting today to bring peace and tranquility back to this island is not something that was not caused by bad men and bad women. I want you to understand that we have done everything that was right, because we believe Anguilla has to come back as it once was, an island that was admired around the world for being clean. We met a bankrupt economy. Viceroy was on the verge of collapse. And as I said publicly, we brought back Viceroy. We brought in Starwood Capital to buy a bankrupt Viceroy. And I went on air and I praised Jerome Roberts and Hayden Hughes for negotiating so that we get the best tax ever in Anguilla out of a transfer on Viceroy. And we got Viceroy back on track. Today, Viceroy is boasting that they're doing well. Ladies and gentlemen, I said last week, during 3 labor disputes from Viceroy, that's very difficult to have the responsibility to bring development to the island at the same time to represent the workers who were wrongfully dismissed. And I had 3 disputes with Viceroy last week, and one of them, who was not an Anguillan, called back and said, "Thank you, Mr. Hughes, for the way you stood up for us, the professional way." The Anguillans didn't call back. It's like in the Bible. You have 10 people, and Jesus asked, "Where are the others? You came back. Where are the others?" Nevertheless, it's my duty to represent my people. And I'll continue to do that as long as I live. But, ladies and gentlemen, I always wanted to do something for Anguilla. And I would never have gone out of politics if I didn't do that thing. As one of the speakers said tonight, from Island Harbor, we are looking at an outstanding medical physician. As the next AUM Minister
Of health.
of Health,
Yes. Yes. Doctor too.
Doctor, and Minister of Health, ear, nose, throat specialist, dentist. This man is a genius.
Yes.
And he's serving Anguilla. He continued to serve Anguilla. Sam Webster did so much in the 4 years of UN government. But because the Anguilla United Movement is not a political party, but a dedicated nationalist movement, we sacrifice ourselves in order to serve the best interests of Anguilla. And Sam has willingly sacrificed his future in politics to his brother.
Yep.
That's who we are. As a united movement, we are not a political party. In the extreme west of this island, we have a young, brilliant lawyer who will be representing that constituency. Those of you who attended the graduation ceremony some months ago at the Campus B auditorium, you would have heard one of the greatest speeches given in a feature address from that young, brilliant lady. So, the Anguilla United movement has moved on and has become the bedrock of representation for an island that will excel as the years go by. We will excel. Ladies and gentlemen, Evan Gums was supposed to be a poodle.
Oh, yes.
This man
Oh, yes.
has been a great worker, always on the move, fighting, struggling against the odds, with all his staff working against him, and he's still accomplishing. He never gives up.
But God is for you.
This man kept the fire services going at a time of crisis. He even traveled to look for fire services. And today, he's bringing in 2 fire trucks, one after the other, making sure we have efficiency. When he got there in 2010, there wasn't one single proper working fire truck. The one fire truck was leaking every bit of oil, wasn't even maintained. Evan is a man of the day, a man of action.
That's right.
When Evan Gums were running for elections, Victor Banks said to his people, tell them that Evan cannot be Minister of Finance. Now that was misleading, as he always does, because nobody runs for a portfolio. You run for a seat in the House of Assembly and you're chosen after for a portfolio. But Evan could do any ministry because Evan is hardworking and he's honest.
Oh, yes. Honest.
What you want in a country, first of all, is honesty.
Yeah.
And secondly, men who are prepared to work.
Yeah.
This cannot be said of a lot of people. He's prepared to work and he's honest. Ladies and gentlemen, for many years, about 20 years, I have been asking Patrick Hanley, who everybody knew was called the sheriff. I have been asking this young man, please, can't you do something for Anguilla? Let's get involved in politics. Come with us. The Anguilla United movement need you to serve Anguilla. Thank God we have him. And thank God the people will put him in the House of Assembly the next election. I live in South Hill. There are 3 major villages, Sanderground, South Hill, and North Hill. You know full well that poor Eddie, he ain't getting a vote in South Hill. None. Last time he got all. He ain't getting nothing in North Hill. Except one man. But to say, I put him in power, and I take him out. And I make sure he loses his deposit. He deserves to do that. Because if he can take bread out of poor people's mouth while he is full, you can imagine. Anyhow, we'll send him to Salaminga to live after he loses the election. He can spend his pensions on there. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerome Roberts. During the last election campaign, we saw the potential in Jerome Roberts. We saw the great potential in Jerome Roberts. And we refused to run a candidate against him. Instead, we told those who admire us in that constituency, you have a good man, so we can't put up a candidate. You have a good man, and we want him to be there for many, many a year. Jerome was always a community man.
That's right. That's the truth.
He walked with the youth all his life. From the time he was a schoolboy, he was walking with the youth. And tell Cora, I coming for her. I will never permit anything like Cora to unseat Jerome. And Gula needs Jerome, not Cora. Tell her I coming. We need Jerome. And Gula needs Jerome. Jerome is a dedicated, ambitious worker. Ladies and gentlemen, this team is formidable. This team is resourceful, energetic, clean, clean like a vessel. No hands under the table. No bribery. You won't hear that any of these men will be accused of accepting or soliciting bribes. This is what Angola wants. Angola is going back to where it came from. Angola will be the envy of the Caribbean. We are already the envy of the Caribbean. Everybody wants to invest there. We have at least 4 different big companies want now to invest in an international airport in Angola. So you'll hear about a lot of that in the future. We came to office with a bankrupt treasury. If you read the minutes for the last budget discussion in the House of Assembly, when I said to the Minister of Finance, you cannot frame your budget on alienation of land and work permits. It's not sustainable. A $335 million for expenditure. Where are we going to raise that $335 million? What happened? We only raised 100 and something million. They had loans from everywhere. From the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, from a St. Lucia-based Trinidad financial group. We had several millions of dollars owed to various business places in Angola which were not paid. We had debt, uncontrollable debt to every bank. 14 days after we came in government, we had borrowed $10 million to pay the civil servants. The record is there to be seen. That's why tonight we have started the election campaign, because we want time to educate you and to bring the facts to you. We are willing to debate with anybody who wants to come to challenge us on our records. Ladies and gentlemen, we will make Angola proud. And before the next election, every man jack in this island shall be working. Every man jack. The former administration gave away over 1,000 job opportunities. The Flag Luxury Project started off with labor from the Dominican Republic and then 450 Chinese construction workers from communist China. That's not why we should alienate land for American speculators in real estate. And then they bring in the trailer houses and will not rent our accommodation. They bring in the food and fed them. None of that money circulated in the general economy, but your economic resources were squandered.
Yeah. How sad.
The Flag Project stopped in June 2008, and up to now, because of a buccaneer governor who told Mr. Rizzuto, was a wicked politician, I had a spy in Chrysanthemum yard one day when they called me inside the morning and told me, here's a meeting going on with one of the leaders of the opposition party, Mr. Rizzuto, the general manager and the governor. And they asked them to spy for me, and here was the subject, telling Mr. Rizzuto do not start this project while he would use this in government. So I called Mr. Rizzuto and I said, don't you ever bring that general manager to my office again. I will not have a man who came here on a work permit joining with a politician and a governor to starve Angolan children being hungry, and you all are making sure that the fathers don't go to work, and 275 acres of prime economic land have been given to you to speculate in. That is why you need to listen, read, and learn. You cannot have a fronting for anybody again in this island.
Yeah.
You cannot have a political party that has done so much harm to our people. Every segment was tarnished. Everything was destroyed. We have a big repair job. You know, Coup was closed. We have that sold and open and going, and that will produce a good project. Marijuana closed, run down. That is now going and will produce a much better project. We have Zemi Beach, was giving us plenty of trouble because the Sanaminga people were working, and the Sanaminga man was the contractor, and Angolans were complaining they were not getting work. The project was stopped. We told the man you need to give the work out on tender. And today, everybody, including Sanaminga people, can work, but not just one type of people. But I want you to know that a project manager was dismissed by a general manager of a hotel on the reef of Chrysanthemum Golf Course, a decent project manager, because he visited my office. Because I called him in to ask him, when will you put that project to work? Because that 275 acres of prime land, I was giving it to the French to produce 3,000 to 4,000 bedrooms. That was about 6,000 jobs for the people of Angola. And you have all that land squandering. When are you going to start the project? And for coming to my office at my invitation, a general manager, a boy who may have been hungry back in France, was able to come here and sack a project manager because he visited the chief minister's office. I am not going to give up on him. I'm not going to give up on him because he is undermining the integrity of this island. And to think of it, his friend and colleague, William Alistair Harrison, is back in prison tonight. He left Angola in disgrace, but he has not given up, because Kevin Carty, a decent accountant, was dismissed to provide that job for William Alistair Harrison. But he will never get a work permit in Angola. Not ever. He can come here as a tourist. I can come to visit his friend, Zahario, the general manager of Captaluca. But he won't get a job here with a work permit. Ladies and gentlemen, never, never, never. I want you to know that tonight I was supposed to deliver a written speech. But it's too late and too long. And I only want to give you a taste of things to come.
There you go.
Tell the front, we are ready for the long debate. We are ready for the long haul. And as Winston Churchill said when he was fighting against the most vicious animal, Hitler, we will fight and we shall never surrender. Thank you. God bless. Good night.